been paying any attention to the PS3 hacking scene, you'll know that there's some drama, I guess, going on between Sony and GeoHot. And not just GeoHot, but mostly GeoHot. So this video is going to be sort of like an explanation of the PS3 hacking scene at the moment. And today is the 18th of January 2011. And why it's kind of at a halt right now. I wouldn't say a complete stop, but it's definitely kind of slowed down for the time being. So this video is just going to be like a little overview of the hacking scene. So basically, if you don't know this, Sony sued GeoHot. GeoHot is George Hotz, aka the person that's been doing all the hacking. I really shouldn't say all the hacking though, because a lot of people have done their part. So, but GeoHot's sort of the one that started this thing. So let's go back in time and I'll sort of give you guys a laydown. So probably about a week ago, maybe two, whenever PS3 3.55 was first hacked, GeoHot made a video, showing it. And of course this made Sony mad, because every time their firmware gets hacked, they probably get a little frustrated and then they update it. But this, they didn't expect at all, because this is the latest firmware. So now we can have hacks and PSN access, which we haven't had on 3.41 for months. So this got Sony really mad, but this wasn't enough for Sony to really do what they did. But it was the fact that GeoHot posted the PS3 master keys, which is what allows it to be hacked, and Sony really can't fix these with the SKU that's out right now. They have to have a whole new PS3, probably new hardware, new way to sign all their stuff, stuff like that. So the fact that GeoHot posted all these on his website, he posted the jailbreak, everything like that, that's what Sony got mad about. So they go ahead and they sue this George Hotz guy. This guy's a genius, but they sued him. So I think the biggest reason for doing this is because Sony is really scared about piracy, because if you look back at the PSP and PS3 are very similar, and the hacking was very similar as well. At first the PSP, there's an exploit here or there, then a downgrade, and then custom firmware, which led to ISOs, which led to piracy. And the PS3 is just on a downward slope, if in my opinion. I had one for about 2 years and I got bored stiff of it and I sold the thing, and I haven't had one since. And I think that's what Sony's really worried about, is that people are going to do that with their PS3. But the difference between the PSP and the PS3 is that this is a full-fledged console. I can hook this up to my TV, I can have media servers, I can play really great quality games, I could stream all my media, I can watch music, I can go to the PlayStation Network and download and rent movies, everything, so I think these hacks are more helping Sony than hurting Sony, but that's not how they see it, I guess. So now I'm going to get into why I think Sony is wrong for doing this. First off, the whole piracy thing, with GeoHot, it's not a concern, because he specifically took time out of what he was doing to make sure backups wouldn't work. There's a certain thing in the firmware that he didn't tamper with to prevent piracy, and so GeoHot doesn't really know why Sony's even suing him, because everyone thinks, like I said, I just think that piracy is Sony's main concern. And with all these backup managers, it's really easy to do. But with GeoHot's firmware, the backup managers don't even work. So I'm not exactly sure why Sony's making a big deal about this and going and suing GeoHot. And really, to me, it's all Sony's fault, because if you look back, I think firmware 3.2, 3.21 or something like that, they removed OtherOS, which is a way to install Linux on the PS3. Sony was cool with it from launch. It was one of the main features of the launch. It was that, yeah, you could install another operating system on this. And from Linux, you could have emulators. It's kind of hacks, but they're like official. Sony didn't mind. But the problem with the Linux was that, I never really used it because you didn't have full access. For example, you couldn't get to the graphics card. You couldn't use all 8 cores the PS3 has, stuff like that. So really, it was a slow Linux box. So when I say that a lot of people were mad when Sony removed it, I wasn't really one of them, but it's still stupid on Sony's part for doing it, because they took an advertised feature just because it might be a little security threat. Instead of patching it, they just say, we're pulling the plug. I don't know any company to do that, to be consistently removing features, which is why this happened in the first place, because GeoHot wanted the other OS. And it was, a lot of people were mad when Sony removed it, and he was one of them, and he worked his magic and he got it back, and Sony didn't like it. So that's pretty much what he's being sued for by Sony. So a lot of people are kind of laying down low on the scene right now. They don't want to release anything because they think Sony's going to get to them. but we'll have to see what happens. So that takes me into my next point. Do you really own the console that you bought? Personally, I think Sony's trying to, restrict that. You spend $300 on their system and they're pulling features or not letting you do stuff. I mean, in my view, the PS3 is a computer. It's just like the computer I built down here. It's just like a Dell you can go buy from Walmart. It has a hard drive, it has a motherboard, it has all that other stuff in it, and it can run stuff. And when I buy a computer from Walmart or I build my own or I get a Mac, I can install whatever I want on it. They don't care. The manufacturer doesn't care. If you want to make a Hackintosh, it's all at your risk. If you want to install Linux, it's your risk. If you want to install Windows 3.1 on it, go ahead. And with the PS3, it is a game console, but the PS3 can be a computer, and it was a computer. It could run Linux. But Sony decided to remove it because of some stupid security threat. Now, instead of, just updating it, getting your Sony engineers to work a little harder, and just make it more secure, they just pulled the plug completely, and that's no good. I don't know another company that's really done that. GeoHot is responsible for jailbreaking all the iPods, all the iPhones back in the day, and he was the first one to get an unlocked one. Apple didn't do that much. I mean, it's all at your own risk anyway, so if they find out, then it voids your warranty, and that's it. So what I'm trying to say is that if you give Sony your money, if you paid $300 for their console, then they shouldn't go ahead and pull features. They shouldn't. I mean, if someone just bought a PS3 today, they never knew what other OS was. They never had the option, so they're not missing anything. But when you have people that, they won't even update their PS3 because of a feature that Sony took out, that's when you know you're doing something wrong. People should always want to be up to date on the newest stuff. And if that's not the case, if people are scared to upgrade and don't want to upgrade or buy a whole other system to prevent upgrading, that's when you know you're doing something wrong, and they should fix it instead of pulling the plug and trying to sue this kid. Because if you think of it the other way, they should be hiring GeoHot. They should say, hey, this one kid alone in his basement or wherever on his computer just outsmarted our whole team of security experts here at Sony Incorporated. Instead of suing him and saying shame on you, get him a slap on the wrist, try to put him in jail for 10 years, they should say, hey, we have a spot for you. If you can make our system unhackable again, then go for it. We'll pay you for it. That's what they should be doing to this kid. This guy is like 20, 21 years old, and he outsmarted all of Sony's engineers. That says something. So instead of suing him, you should hire him because, like I said, he won with Apple. I mean, he hacked the iPhone, and people are still doing it to this day. But the PS3 was meant to be a lot more secure. It took 5 years just to hack the thing. And the main reason is because no one really wanted to hack it because, like the TV ad says, it does everything. It could play Blu-ray movies, it could play MPEG-4s, AVIs, you could play your pictures, you could play video games on it, you could stream stuff from your computer. What couldn't it do? But now that they're starting to pull plugs on all these features, that's when people get mad, and that's when people make it do what they want it to do. So what do I think about all this stuff? I think they should let GeoHot go. I think I read an article a couple days ago that he's like safe from lawsuits or something for right now. I'm not exactly sure, but at the moment he's safe, like nothing's gonna happen. But in a few days they might have another court date or something like that. So I just hope that Sony realizes that they're making a huge mistake with all this stuff. They're just taking it way too seriously. They're not, busting their chops like they should be to fix it. They're just saying, we're going to sue them. That's pretty much it. So I think they should let GeoHot go. I think they will when this is all said and done. I'm pretty sure they're going to let him go. I mean, because why put the kid in jail? He didn't kill anybody. He didn't hurt anybody except maybe Sony's feelings. But other than that, I think that Sony really should just fix what they're doing. Make it so I want to stay up to date on the latest firmware. Just stuff like that. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think they should let GeoHot go? Do you think that Sony should allow these hacks and just say no PSN access for you? I think that's pretty fair. The PSN, the free thing, the free PlayStation Network, that's a very nice feature of the PS3. And people are saying, oh, it's not as good as Xbox Live. Maybe at launch, but now there's not much of a difference. I mean, even on Xbox Live, they're charging you to use Twitter. I can go on my computer and use it for free. It's just stupid. So the PS3's free PSN access is just a great feature, and if you'd rather replace that with hacks, then so be it. That's what I think should happen, because that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make, because I don't play online much. If I want to rent a movie, I don't need the PSN. I can get Netflix, or I can go down the road and rent a movie. I don't need all the PSN features. I'd rather have a hacked console. But if that, if that means having to stay back a firmware update or two, then I'll do that. But I just don't want Sony to be pulling features. I would love for them to restore other OS, even if I don't use it much. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people keep their PS3s on an old firmware and buy another one just so they can have their other OS. So what do you guys think? Let me know. I'm at CPUKid on Twitter if you have any suggestions, any comments. Just a few announcements real quick. I have been sick the past few days, so if you could tell by my voice or something, then sorry about that. I'm getting better. I didn't want to wait another day to make this video, but I've also become a YouTube partner, so thank you guys for all your support. This means a lot to me. Go ahead and check out my channel. There's a link, or I'll put his Twitter on my channel page. He made my background and my banner, so thanks go out to you. I didn't ask him to do it. He just kind of volunteered, so that's the kind of support I love from you guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.